Luc Bouchard with Solve Act Life Coaching Services. I've been a certified life skills coach for 22 years, and I specialize in men's issues and what keeps men stuck. Today is the 56th day of the 72-day challenge. We're in the 8th week. Our weekly theme is depression. Our daily focus is the life skills process, and the topic today is what is true authenticity? Welcome. Thank you for joining me. So, 4 days ago in the 52nd video, I talked about selling the unsellable authenticity. And I started by saying that authenticity is about being true to self, being true to others, being realistic of our current situation, being honest about what's going on in your life, and that's really not very desirable for men because it's never been modeled to us. We don't see the merits to it, and generally it puts us in a place of fear and anxiety and powerlessness, because to be authentic, we actually have to deal with feelings like hurt, pain, fear, anxiety, that kind of stuff. So when you've been socialized to constantly distance yourself from those emotions and not actually have the skills to deal with them and the skills to actually recognize them and kind of sit with them and be with them, why would we go in and we deal with that? Furthermore, being authentic and dealing with past pain, which is really about authenticity, is dealing with stuff that's unresolved for us, is like being in a cavern, a big cavernous space, a big cave, where we're asking people to step off and take this leap of faith that it's going to be okay. And if you've never had that experience, why would you do it? And as I said, some men are going, why on earth would I do that? I don't know what you tell me it's going to be fine, but I don't know what the outcome is going to be on the other side. And it's only because of, unfortunately, as I mentioned, through pain that people stay there. So they move forward finally because the pain of staying is worse than the fear or the pain of moving forward. So that's a brief recap as to what 52 is about. And I just want to take that a bit further today and talk about, okay, if authenticity is really about giving your power away and being fearful and being worried about outcomes, and it's really about you're worried what other people think about you, then really what true authenticity with self is going to be the opposite of that, is where you don't care what people, you're not really that invested in what people think. I'm not saying is that you're like totally oblivious to where people are at, but you give your power less away because you're less invested in their opinions. And part of the problem with being invested in other people's opinions is that you're either great by their opinion or you're really crappy by their opinion. And that if people think you're great, then and you buy into that as to that's somehow a merit, a value, or a measure of how good you are because what other people think, then the opposite of that is when they think you're awful, then you also go into that. And so the more you buy into other people's opinions of who you are, the more problematic it is, because it's subject to their whims and subject to sometimes very fickleness. Conversely, if we really buy into self-approval and being happy and only really caring about what our opinion matters of ourselves, then it's just a far better place to be. And until you're prepared to actually look at that stuff that we've normally distanced ourselves from and the stuff that we avoid, what's a lot of shame-based beliefs, a lot of shame-based shame. We're ashamed of our stuff. We're embarrassed by the stuff we don't like about ourselves. The more you distance from yourself from that, the more we give our power away to others to judge us by it. But the more you actually embrace your warts and wrinkles and the stuff you don't like about yourself, the more you have self-acceptance. The less negative self-talk you have, the more judgment, the less judgment you have on others, the less judgment you have on yourself, and it's just really a much better place to be. And I have a visual. I have an actual example of what that is, and it's I often will talk with my clients about it's either a spiral down or a spiral up when it comes to being authentic or not authentic. And when we're inauthentic and we give our power away, it really works like this, that basically it's a spiral down. Where we spiral down, it's get narrower, narrower, narrower. And so what happens is that this is more judgment, this is more discontentment, this is more unhappy. When you spiral down with your inauthenticity, then what happens is that it's a more constricted and more refined life. That's why this gets more narrower from up here. And it's just, it's not a great place to be because you're so worried about what other people think. Conversely, if you're in an authentic place and you're living an authentic life, it's a spiral up. And life just gets bigger, and it's a more expanded self, and it's a better self. And what happens with this spiral is that when you're less worried about other people's opinions, when you are more content with self, and you're happier with self, you give your power away less. And life is just so much better because what's happening is that you're not really embedded in this negativity, and you're more embracing of self. And with that, like I mentioned in video 52, what you get out of that is better relationships with others, specifically your children, better relationship with your spouse. I mentioned it before, I'm going to say the S word, you're probably getting more sex, you're probably getting laid more because you're being more authentic and you're being more real and you're being more in the moment, which is what women want from us. You're probably sharing more of yourself. And women, that's very desirable for women because you're there, you're present. When you're inauthentic, you're not present. When you're authentic, you're here and you're in the moment. You're going to be happier in general. You're going to be less uptight about other people and what other people think. You're going to sleep more. You're probably going to live longer. And you're less likely to be depressed because you're being more authentic or living a quiet life of desperation, as I've said on many occasions. So I know that that's for individuals that have never actually stepped off into the cavern and gone into this big space. That's I might as well be speaking Greek or Latin or some other language or Klingon. And never mind. Anyway, we're speaking another language, and until you actually go through that process and know what it's like to come through the other side and how much relief you can have from that, it's hard to understand that. But how much pain do you want to be in? How dysfunctional does your life have to be? How much sleep do you need to lose? How much productivity? Let me ask you this. How much productivity are you losing from just basically all the stuff that you're carrying and you're harboring? For the individuals out there that have to produce and do stuff, you're going to tell me you're really operating at the most optimum state when you have all this stuff running and all these negative perceptions and this crap going on? If you say yes, I'm going to say LLPOF, and that's a big old liar, liar, pants on fire to all you that are saying that you're working at the most optimum state when you are being inauthentic, because you're not. And the fact that you don't even recognize that is an inauthentic statement to begin with. Bit crazy making, I know. So, how long does it have to stay this way? Do you need to be this way in 10 years? Like still here in 10 years, dealing with all this stuff? Or perhaps, maybe it's time to start looking at some of this stuff and be more authentic. Because really it's just a perception and it's just fear. And if you're really heavily entrenched in being a strong, no fear kind of guy, bullshit that is. Because authentic and authenticity is embracing fear, and that's where you realize you're stronger from it. It's really a choice. And it's your choice. Luc Bouchard with Solvac Life Coaching Services. I've been a certified life skills coach for 22 years, and I specialize in men's issues and what keeps men stuck and how come they distance themselves from authenticity and closeness and good connections with other people. I hope you have a great day. And tomorrow is our creative day, and I think I'm going to be cooking something. I'm not sure. I can't remember right now. Anyway, take care.